Okay, it seems like we are live. Potentially. Yes, we are live. Okay. Howdy, everybody. How's it going? Everything sound and look good? Oh, turn down this. Is volume levels okay? Everything should be unmuted. How is everybody doing today? Alright. Oi, Red Sun. How's it going, Outrider? Um, yeah, so the problem was I'm used to streaming on Twitch, and on Twitch you just hit start broadcast, and it starts broadcast. Um, Instead, I hit start broadcast, and it said, this has not started the stream, press go live. And I've never seen a go live button before in my life, so I assumed this was something on YouTube. Apparently there's just a go live button next to start broadcast, which only appears if you try to stream on YouTube. So, I blame YouTube for being bad. Howdy, Head. Head road to Iceland. Alright, so I'm assuming everybody here already is subscribed, but if not, you guys should subscribe to the Cards Top Deckers channel. They make amazing content. You will not regret it. So, today we're going to start with some ladder. As you can see, I'm rank 6. I might switch to draft later, but yeah. Is there any decks people have requests to see being played? My missions right now are play orders and play Soviet cards. So I might play some Soviet France. It's always fun. I haven't updated my Soviet France deck in quite some time. I don't know if there's a lot that needs updating to it, though. Let's see, I have two 845ths for a little extra healing. No phony war, which might be pretty useful in the discard meta. Now what to take out? I like the Yak. Really like the Petliakovs. I feel like the Confusion. I don't know why there is a Confusion in this deck right now. That's really hard to use. Play a Soviet destruction-themed deck. Soviet France, Reichsbank Commandos. Yeah, I might play some Reichsbank Commandos later. I love that deck. Could you play a game with my Soviet attrition deck? Sure. Can you send that to me, Red Sun? I do not have that. Or if anybody else has, Red's Soviet Japan attrition deck. I don't think I've ever played that before, but I've seen a lot of people play that deck. Okay, yeah, I won't play Soviet France. I won't trigger Bubbles' Soviet-controlled PTSD. Yeah, if anybody has Red's Soviet Japan list, alright. Alright, Red's on that. Great. In the meantime, I'll check my bank commandos. I don't think I deleted it. Yeah, here we go. Miracle German. Oh, I love this deck so much. Honestly, this deck is so fun. If people haven't seen this played, you're in for a special treat. This deck is one of the most entertaining decks in the game to play, and it's easily one of the most entertaining decks in the game to watch someone else play it, in my opinion. It is quite good. Here, let me... realize I haven't actually advertised this yet. Okay, there we go. Yeah, this deck might struggle into discard. It's a little hard to say. Like, if you lose a Crusader, it's kind of game over. However, discard can struggle with single target removal. They have really, really good AoEs with the supply shortages, root out, monsoon rot, but they need a lot of credits to play those, so raid can slow them down a lot. And then other than that, really their only targeted removal is Annihilation or anything that comes through units, whether it's the Blitz Bombers or like some people run Mosquito. So if you can stick a Crusader against discard, it's going to last way longer than against most other decks, but obviously there's the worry that it gets discarded before, or if you get later into the game, it can just get taken out with a couple 2-card combinations. Most things struggle into discard. Yeah, that's a fair point. Hey, Maskino. What's your view on discard? Do you think it's problematic? As an archetype in the game, like just as a mechanic, I think discard is fine. I mean, I know a lot of other card games don't have discard, because they say, like, the discard's difficult to interact with because you're discarding a random card from your opponent. I don't think it's particularly more uninteractive than other things. Like, Cards right now doesn't have a ton of OTK decks, whereas a lot of other card games have a ton of OTK decks that are very, very powerful and essentially can't be interacted with. So I think it's, like, pretty comparable to that in terms of how fun it is to play against. In terms of the specific Britain-German deck that exists right now, I do think that is overtuned and needs to be brought down with nerfs. I think the biggest offender is probably supply shortage. Just running 4 of copies of that card means you can essentially forego any early game, and just rely on a couple of fortifications later in the game just to make sure you don't die to burn. And then you just pass on turn 1, you pass on turn 2, you play supply shortage on turn 3, everything your opponent's played for the last 3 turns dies in 1 turn, 2 turns, maybe even 3 turns. And then in the meantime, you start slamming down huge health guards, you start destroying their hand with discard, etc., etc. And that's not fun to play against. So, yeah, I think that it should be brought down a bit. Case Yellow is too strong. I think it's fine on its own, but it's too strong being a card that you can just so easily run alongside Wolfpack. Like, Case Yellow and Wolfpack are both strong cards, which are kind of fine on their own, but if you're running 2 Wolfpacks and 3 Case Yellows, it's too strong. Like, I think Case Yellow fits really good into Jur Italy, where you just cut Wolfpacks for Case Yellows, and some people don't like that, and they keep the Wolfpacks, and it's an interesting choice on which ones you run. Running all of them together as the win con of the deck is... It's a deck that I pioneered a long time ago, and it's a deck that it's a playstyle that I like to play, but it's really, really unfun to play against, and it's kind of toxic for the game, and it's a little strong right now. In Magic Discard, usually one of the 2 players picks. Yeah. Hello, Enrico Simonetti. Happy to see you too. Welcome to the stream. Some classic Magic cards, like you see your opponent's hand and pick 1 to discard for 1 mana. Yeah, for 1 mana that would be too strong in Cards. I did actually have an idea for changing Wolfpack, because they said a very long time ago, most people have probably forgotten by this point, but they said in, like, July 2021 or something, that they were going to nerf Draw Denial, and they were going to rework Wolfpack. And I think that kind of got put on the back burner and probably has been entirely forgotten about. But I had a lot of ideas for how they could rework Wolfpack, especially once Intel came out. And I had one card which was, like, I think it was like Intel 3, Intel 4. Choose 1 card in your opponent's hand to discard, sorry. So yeah, it sort of worked like that in combination with the Intel cards. And it would also give German Poland an Intel card, because right now Germany has 0 Intel cards. If I had a penny for each time Jking pioneers it, yeah, you'd have, like, I don't know, 6 or 7 cents, which is not a lot, but Yeah. I mean, it is very frustrating with discard being random, because if discard was a choice of the opponent, it would just be so infinitely better. And if it was the choice of the player being discarded, it would be so infinitely worse. So, like, being random in terms of just balance is fine, but being random also just hurts so much, because when it does discard the best card in your hand, it's like, well, that was a 1 in 7. This sucks when I lose the game because my opponent got a 1 in 7 discard Lend-Lease. Stupid game, I want to stop playing. And if you're playing the discard deck and you like discard Sudden Strike 3 times in a row and your opponent's only other card in hand is Comet, you're like, well, this sucks. I missed the opportunity to discard their only win con 3 times in a row. So yeah, discard just kind of sucks for everybody involved. Not at the same time, usually. Usually one person is having a lot of fun and the other person's having no fun. But I don't think there's ever a time in a discard match where both players are simultaneously having fun. Is this the fabled Yikes Bank? Yes, indeed, this is the Yikes Bank, the Bank Commando Miracle German. If anybody is familiar with, so the reason I call it Miracle German is the old Hearthstone deck, Miracle Rogue, which I believe was based on an older Magic deck, or at least Magic card. But the idea I had when I made this deck, like the current iteration, when I brought it to a tournament, the reason I wanted to try to see if this playstyle of deck was good again, because obviously using Reichsbank and Commandos has existed for a very long time, is I was actually playing Dominion, the deck building game. I'm not sure how many of you guys are familiar with Dominion, but essentially I over Christmas break, my brother got Dominion, the board game, like the physical board game, for Christmas, and we played like 4 or 5 hours of Dominion every day for like 2 weeks. And in Dominion, it's all about trying to play through like your entire deck at once, build an engine, so you can like draw a card, gain the equivalent of mana, draw a card, gain mana, draw a card, gain mana, go through your entire deck and pull off the equivalent of a massive combo to try to end the game. And playing that was really, really fun in Dominion, and I was like, this is making me wish that you could play like this in Cards. So when I came back to Cards after Christmas break, I was basically like, well, if this deck is going to exist, it's going to exist with Commandos. And the way to gain a lot of credits right now is just with Reichsbank. So I threw things together, and then I decided I wanted to try Timely Supplies, because that's a card I'd never really tried out before, but it sort of fit the same theme, and it ended up working out really well. Yeah, are you online now, Red? Can you send me the deck? Like your Soviet Japan deck? If not, I can try making one from scratch. I'm not exactly sure how you build it. I know you have like Meadows and At All Costs. I'll play 7 villages back to back. I have 3 to spend. I'll buy a village. Yeah, that checks out. Oh, it's on the top deck of server. Ah, that's what the app was. Alright. Thank you. Alright. So this is Red Sun's deck. It's a Soviet Japan attrition deck. So if you look at the top end of the deck, it looks like pretty classic control. You have ISU, 272nd, Winter Offensive, Partisans, KV, yada yada yada. But then if you look at the beginning of the deck, you have Deadly Duty, 33rd Recon, Mido Regiment, Hayabusa. So you might be wondering how these two cards work together in the same deck. Basically, it works as a burn deck, but unlike German France, where you sort of just go all in on the burn strategy and the game's over by like turn 7, regardless of who wins. This is sort of a control deck, but instead of relying on huge units to end out the game, you rely on just consistently burning your opponent out throughout the game, which is why you have cards like At All Costs, which deals 2 damage to all, It's one of the few Soviet board clears, but it all includes 2 damage to the opponent. So if you play Mito at all costs, you're dealing 4 damage to your opponent. Now you can also attack with the Mito before playing at all costs. At all costs obviously can clear the board, but you're still dealing 20% of your opponent's health in the process. So yeah, that's sort of the playstyle of the deck. I've never actually played this deck before. I've had it played against me several times, and it looks really fun. So we're going to try this out together. It's a solid tier 3 deck. Yeah, I mean, Red, when you won OCC qualifiers, were you using this deck? Because I know you've brought this deck to OCC qualifiers several times in the past, and I know it's worked out pretty well. Now here's an interesting mulligan. So, it's Soviets. I'm assuming it's going to be a control mirror. First rifles you're keeping anyways. 845th rifles, it's a 2-drop. I'm feeling pretty good about keeping this. I kind of want to keep Parade specifically because if it is a control mirror, Parade is going to be one of the most valuable cards in the deck, just in terms of increasing my hand size. Now the question is, do I keep for Glory? Because there's a lot of really, really annoying Soviet elites. And I'm pretty sure basically every single Soviet deck ever is going to be running at least, like, 6 or 7 elites. Like, elite units, specifically. Of course, the other side is... Oh wait, this is a training... This is against the AI. I hate the new UI. Like, in the old UI, you had to click on training, like, play against the AI. Now you just go into the last mode you were selecting, and while making sure the stream overlay was working, I played against an AI just to make sure, like, in-game everything worked. So yeah, new UI has its its kinks that need to be sorted out. Mito phase 2, red banner, get Taipei, hit face for another 6, 10 damage. Yeah, if you could pull that off, that'd be pretty sick. There is not a lot to do with confusion this turn, so we're just going to Parade and double push. I could also Parade single push, which actually I kind of like better. Jking practices versus bots confirmed. Hey man, practice is practice, and I mean, I can't say I haven't seen worse plays at OCC before than this. Well, that's a pretty good confusion target. How did I get up to 34 health already? That's a pretty cool combo that I hadn't actually considered before. The 152 Howitzer. I mean, this is just like a really good card. But it's also like the primary target to be removed right now, and if it does get removed, it's going to be drawing me a card off of Recon. Unfortunately, it's also going to be buffing the attack of his 10th guards. I could just play at all costs this turn. I don't really feel the need to. I could just slam 272nd. In a normal game, I wouldn't, because Partisan's Red Banner would make me immediately lose the game. Maybe not quite in this situation, because 4 Glory is 2 credits, remove Stalin. But against the AI, I'm feeling pretty confident that he's not about to pull out Red Banner and Partisans. Alright, well, Adel costs this one, so we get the draw off the Recon. And I don't really feel the need to push up. I'm just going to play out this. This is sort of like a mini KV1, the 125th. deals 1 damage every time they draw a card. You were expecting the average field marshal comparison? Yeah, I mean, they're both true. Like, the average field marshal player would probably perform alright in top 8. I'm just gonna start burning them out. Honestly, like at this point, targeting the T-34-85 with orders is going to be a net positive. I might just be able to kill him. Yep. So that's... Oh, that's actually really funny. So, I'm gonna have enough credits to attack anyways. It would be funnier if I didn't have enough credits to attack this, and I killed him with the 1 damage dealt by him drawing a card. But, yeah, let's not play against the AI anymore. See, this is what I mean, like, this is not a clear UI at all. The fact that you just hit 1 play button, and no matter what thing you're on, it displays, well, I guess if you're on draft or campaigns, it shows it different, but if you're on training or battle, they show it the exact same way. And the only way to tell is by looking at this button right here. And, like, I closed and reopened the game, so this is saved information, which is fine. Like, it's good for it to, like, save your preferences, but, like, if I click training once and then open the game a week later, I want to, like, yeah. I have, pretty big issues with the new UI, but, I mean, basically so does everybody. Greetings from Albania. Welcome, B. So, now we'll see if how long it takes to get an actual human player. We might end up playing against another AI anyways. I saw a screenshot from Ari Big Ben yesterday of being in queue for like 3.5 minutes at rank 6. Now I'm not sure if that's a bug or not. I know there is definitely bugs where you can get like desynced out of the queue, and it will tell you you're still in queue, but you won't actually be in queue. That bug used to happen all the time before. I remember one time I was in queue for draft for like 3 hours, because I just like figured I'd leave my game open. Are you shadow banned again? Okay, I'll let it run till like 2 minutes, and if we hit 2 minutes, I'll just battle versus AI. Was that screenshot in roping report? Yeah, I mean, if you are looking for Are You Big Ben, that is the #1 place you're gonna find him. Okay, well, if ladder is gonna be like this, I might switch to draft. Not actually though, but it would be nice to play against human players. Well, we'll just go against the AI now. Von Manstein. There's the one reason to ever play against the AI in cards, other than getting your free wins on the way to Field Marshal, is if you're doing cards speedrunning. So, most of you probably have never heard of cards speedrunning before. Although there might be a certain Albanian in the chat who is familiar with it. But Cards does have a speedrunning category on like speedrun.com. And the goal is to beat the AI as quickly as possible with different categories of decks. And yeah, once you play against the AI several hundred times, trying to beat it as quickly as possible, you will learn the ins and outs of how the AI behaves and the ins and outs of their decks. And you will see that there is a huge range of deck quality in the AI. It's actually kind of hilarious. Like, some of the AI decks, like, human players would struggle to get a win with, like, beyond rank 10. And then others of the decks, like, you could probably hit top 38 with it if piloted by a human. They haven't heard of it because they have lives. Hey, I don't know what you mean. Cards of speedrunning is a hallowed tradition that is incredibly integral to any card success in the esports scene. Well, this is really interesting. I have at all costs that I could play here. I also don't need to play it because I can just farm the people with the 35T, which is kind of what I'm leaning towards. And then I'm thinking I'm actually going to kill the Greyhound. This isn't a huge threat. Now, obviously, he could play another Blitz tank and push up, but it would be somewhat difficult for him to push up and attack with 2 Blitz tanks. And even if he does, these are so low health, I don't care if he trades, and if he goes face, then I just clear the board on the following turn. I could just do, like, Confusion Red Banner. Don't feel the need to yet, though. There's 4 total runners. Who's first? It's between me and Baron. So the player Baron von Glauer, I think was the first person to start doing it. I'm not positive about that. But at least the first person to start doing it well. Set basically all the records on everything. And then I broke some of the records. Might go back and try to break more of them later. It is quite fun. It is quite fun to do. It is not entertaining to watch. Like, I'm a fan of watching speedrunning. I think watching speedrunning can be quite entertaining. But watching card speedrunning is just the most boring thing ever. You're literally just surrendering over and over and over, trying to mulligan as quickly as possible. And if you're going really hard, you don't even mulligan. You, okay, might... Actually, I can't remove that. Am I gonna lose? I could red banner. Look for a guide. There's a couple 6-cost guides. Yeah, I'm just gonna drop the red banner. Easy game. Okay. Yeah, like, if you're going really hard on card speedrunning, you don't even mulligan, because you spend time mulliganing, and if you think about it, the mulligan only makes it more likely you achieve the perfect starting hand needed. Except if speedrunning is all about getting the perfect run, then the perfect speedrun will not involve a mulligan. You will just be given all of the cards you need before mulliganing. So yeah, speedrunning gets really silly really fast in cards. Well, in all games, really. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave the first rifles. I could, at all costs, to clear the board, but, like, even if you top decks a Blitzkrieg, it's not even enough to deal damage through the guard. I'm coming for your Brit speedrun. I don't even know what you would do for Brit speedrun. Like, I guess you would just go for an air high roll. I feel like that's the other thing, is, like, depending on what patch you're playing, the AIs had different decks. Because they've updated the AIs to be much, much better and have much better decks. Well, their play style is about the same, but they have much better decks than they used to. And that's, like, actually a huge difference. Like, now, there used to be a ramp deck that would essentially not play cards that interact with the board for, like, the first 6 turns of the game anytime you played against it. Now that deck has, like, the gunship missions and awoken giants and stuff, so it's a lot harder to beat the AI within, like, 30 seconds than it used to be. I'm just gonna do this for science. If I play Deadly Duty on this, do I overdraw one card, or do I overdraw the 35T? What do people think? Before I play it, I'm curious, what do people think? When I play Deadly Duty, to destroy this, draw 2 cards. I have 8 cards in hand, 7 after playing Deadly Duty. This draws 2, this adds a card to my hand on destruction. What triggers first? Imagine if ChatGPT replaces our AI. Honestly, would probably do better. Okay, so you think the destruction effect triggers first, and then I draw 2 cards. James will never be able to get to the bottom of FM record, I bet. Oh, I bet I could. Not on this account, but... I think you'll overdraw 1 card, not the T-34. Okay. Well, that's a pretty good card to overdraw. Well, as in, it's a very good card, and I overdrew it. I would have liked to have not overdrawn it, but, I mean, it's not going to have an impact on this game. It's not lethal here, right? So attack, Winter Warfare, Winter Offensive is 1 off lethal, and attack, Winter Offensive at all costs is 1 credit too much, so I don't think there's a lethal here. I will play a tempo ISU though. That was probably a bad idea. I should have just played the T60, because if you top decks like Enigma into the whole bunch of things somehow, but it's the AI, it doesn't matter. Yeah, just like Bubble said, you draw the 2 cards last. I mean, when it comes to card games, it's fine if a card game wants to do things in their own way. So, like, I'm very used to Hearthstone, where order of operations has a very specific order, and Cards does it differently than that sometimes, and that's perfectly fine. But if you're going to have order of operations, at least make it clear why, or make it clear how it works, and make it work the same way 100% of the time. Because, my goodness, there's sometimes where, like, 2 cards will do the exact same thing, but behave differently in niche situations. I mean, at least it's better than before. It used to be that some cards would behave randomly. So, like, one of the big things, the biggest example of this is in Hearthstone, when you play, like, the game keeps track of how long every single unit has been on the board. Like, it doesn't display this to you, but internally it keeps track of how long each unit has been on the board. And each unit is given a number when it gets onto the board, that number being the order of the order that it got onto the board. So basically number 1 is going to be the oldest unit on the board, and anytime any AoE effect triggers, it triggers in the order of how long they have been on the board. So it will hit the oldest unit first. So if 2 units die at the same time, whichever was played first, the destruction effect on that will trigger first, etc., etc. Whereas in Cards, it used to be random. Like, completely and utterly random. If your opponent had a Signal Regiment and 4 units on board and you played a Carpet Bombing, sometimes you took 0 damage, sometimes you took 4 damage. Yeah, so at least it's marginally better than that. Hearthstone Heroes of Warcraft trademark reference. What about your Winter Warfare into 2-1 health HQs? I guess you win. So, I know in Hearthstone, I think you can draw. Like, I think just the game ends and nobody gains or loses points. I'm pretty sure. Do not quote me on that. Oh, we have an actual player. Okay. So assuming this is Jaguar, do I actually want to keep Howitzer? I have a lot of 4-cost guides I think are probably better than this destruction effect, since it's difficult, somewhat difficult for me to kill that. This is not great. I know in Cards it used to be random. I think at one point, I'm not actually 100% positive about this. The way I think it should work is the person who plays the card should lose. Since if you are in a situation where you have no other play but to end, like, to kill yourself and your opponent to force a draw, it should be on you. Like, if your choices are lose or draw, then I think you should be the one who loses if you go for a draw. Or draw, so, like, if you want to just draw the game, that's perfectly fine, but as of now, Cards does not do draws anymore. So, if somebody is going to lose, I think it should be the person who plays the card. Yeah, that's what I remember from Hearthstone. Like, it says lose. It says both players lose, but nobody actually loses ranks. I probably should have considered just doing for glory last turn. I completely forgot about that. I can for glory the signal regiment and then trade the recon into the Type 93. That was a pretty substantial misplay on my part. We'll get the Mito out. The bike is dealing the most damage at the moment. And this is a credit efficient play. What did you guys use to work out on the clock for speedrunning? I just looked back on the recording and made my best estimate when I submitted it, and then there's a mod who runs it who did retimings, I think. I'm not exactly sure how they do the retimings. Like, I'm not sure exactly at what point they use to define when the game starts and when the game ends, etc. So I'd really like to be able to kill this signal regiment and also do anything else with my turn at the same time. I think I'm gonna parade. Okay, that's a pretty good card to parade into. Here's a question. Do I for glory this? Now, call me crazy, but I don't think he's going to be trading, so I don't think he's going to be dealing more damage with the signal regiment, and if he does, then I think I'm happy with that. And this way the naval brigade is removing the signal, rather than, if I played it in this situation, I would have taken the exact same amount of damage, but the difference is he still has a Dina on the board. If he double surprise attacks the Mito, he's insane. Okay, well, I guess this is the card that I could draw. And a couple others that punish not killing signal last turn. Because now I'm going down to 1 health. I'm probably just dead. Would have been a pretty good Winter Warfare turn. Yeah. GG Zelensky. Jking was boasting about how good he is in cards. Yeah, that sounds like me. That checks out. Howdy, Jquin. Yeah, shout out to Jquin for doing all of the artwork that you saw, like I mean, what you see on screen now, the thumbnail, like the promotional art, I mean, all that courtesy of Jquin. Is Diversion still bugged? I don't think I have ever played Diversion before, so unfortunately I can't answer that. Like, I don't think... I'm certain I have never played the card. I think I've only seen it played against me, like, twice, so I don't even know what the bug is. Oh, the Imperial Decree? Yeah. The Imperial Decree is still bugged. Which is kind of sad. I really wanted to play, like a Japan control deck using Imperial Decree. And I know it's perfectly fine to play Imperial Decree the way that it is. Like, it's a bug, but they're not going to, like, ban everybody who plays it from ladder. But at the same time, I just don't want to play it since it's what everybody's doing. Like, I don't want to play it because of the bug. I just wanted to play it in general. it is banned in tournaments until they fix the bug. So yeah, Imperial Decree is supposed to be the next damage order you deal this turn does 1 more damage. The current version is unintentionally doing all damage orders you play for the rest of the turn deal 1 more damage. So if you play like 4 Imperial Decrees and then you play 8 Kamikazes, all 8 of the Kamikazes will be dealing 5 damage instead of just the first one dealing 5 damage. You'd like to see a change where guard units could still get smokescreen, but the guard wouldn't work as long as they have smokescreen. Yeah, I mean, it would not be, like, impossible for them to make that change, because the way it works now is not, as far as I'm aware, it just happens to be that every card that gives guard cannot give it to a smokescreen unit, and every unit that has a smokescreen cannot, or every card that gives smokescreen can't give it to a guard unit. So in the future, I think it could pretty easily just add those types of cards to the game without having to change a whole lot. This is probably the last game I'm going to play on this deck. Might switch to Reichsbank Commandos after this. Alrighty. Wish I kept the Winter Warfare now, but still should be fine. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly when it started, but I think pretty recently. Like my guess, I think there was a patch like a week ago. My guess would be around then. Just because that card is something that sees a decent amount of play. I feel like it would be pretty hard for that bug to go unnoticed for like longer than a couple days. Okay, Soviet-German arty. Or Soviet-German anti-air. I've seen those types of decks on ladder. Like, obviously this is the AI, so it is probably just a really bad arty deck, but... arty Big Ben. Makes me think of, arty Big Dog. All the very, very old Cards players will remember him. Full stack of Blackout incoming. Man, I lost to Blackout like 2 months ago. Like, it was on one of the final days, I lost to, like, a 4 Blackout, I think, Jagra? I forget exactly what the deck was, but it was not good. I can tell you that much. Man, speaking of, old cards, well, old things in cards, the Blackout used to be, so Blackout, for anybody who's not familiar, since that card does not see a lot of play, Blackout currently says pin a enemy air unit. Could be target air unit. I'm pretty sure it says pin enemy air unit. Draw a card for 1 credit. And that's pretty good. I mean, the reason it doesn't see play is because if your opponent doesn't play an air unit, you literally cannot play the card. And you don't want a card in your deck that cannot be played under certain circumstances. This seems like a good veto. Although, or not veto, confusion, sorry. Although in retrospect, saving that for Deadly Duty might have been better. But anyways, I'm getting off track. Blackout. So yeah, the reason it doesn't see play is because obviously you need to play an air unit, and not everybody plays air units. However, a long time ago, 2019, the card used to say, draw a card, pin all enemy air units. Which is way, 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 way better. Because it's essentially like a worse Monty. It's like Monty, it's like old Monty, except it only pins air units. Except that was insane, because your opponent didn't need air units on the board. It wasn't the fact that, like, everybody had a ton of air units. It was specifically the fact that you could play it while the opponent was running no air units. So it was just 1 mana draw a card, with a pretty big upside some of the time. So yeah, they changed it, and since then it hasn't seen any play. But Blackout used to be nuts. There's a little bit of Cards lore for you. Okay, don't... This needs to go, this needs to go. So this is going like this is going like this, draw last. Is this target elite? I can for glory my own 272nd to get the Stalin. I wonder if there's a situation where for glory on your own unit would ever be the right play. Like, I guess if you... I mean, the obvious situation would be like if your opponent's at 1 health and you have a signal regiment and another elite, but... You tack strike it. Alrighty. I think they intended Gunboat Raid to be a part of that deck, but it got so unwieldy. Yeah. I mean, the problem with Gunboat Raid is similar problem to Blackout. Slightly less of an issue than Blackout, but similar in scope. Is the fact that the first part of Gunboat Raid is deal damage to a unit in the front line. So if your opponent just doesn't have a unit in the front line, the entire card can't be played. And there's a lot of decks that either never move units to the front line, or very, very rarely move units to the front line. Like Air, like Commandos. I mean, like decks like Unitless, where they just don't run a lot of units, period. Like Discard doesn't really move units to the front line frequently. And in those matchups, it's just a completely dead card, and you essentially never want to run a card which is functionally useless some of the time. Now, obviously, there's a couple of exceptions. Like, you could argue Commonwealth is functionally useless if you do not have 30 health, and you have less than, like, and you're out of cards in deck, or you only have a couple cards in deck. Except that's, like, your win condition. You don't want a tech card, or just a general okay meh card, that is sometimes completely useless. Remove the discard part of Gunboat. If you remove the discard part of Gunboat, it becomes a lot better. Like, that's an interesting idea, actually. Like, maybe you could keep the discard on just the last part. The deal damage to HQ, because I could see an issue with being able to just keep stacking up those in your hand, since you're essentially just like adding kamikazes to your hand. But yeah, that could be interesting. There's so many ways that so many things they could do to improve the quality of Japan's control collection. I know, on my channel, Jking7 on YouTube, I my last video was a tier list of all of the nations, and I put Japan as the lowest, and I got a lot of flack for that. A lot of people very much disagreed with me for putting Japan below Poland, specifically. I put Poland second last. And the reason I did it is just because Japan has, like, no way to go forward right now. Like, there's a lot of decks in the game where it's like, oh, if you had 1 or 2 cards, this deck could be meta. Or not even meta, but just somewhat relevant. Like Alpine. Alpine needs, like, 1 or 2 new cards, and suddenly it's back. And it could be new Alpine cards, it could be new removal cards, it could be new mana cheat cards, new tempo cards. Like, there's a wide variety of cards that you could add to the game that would make some decks like Alpine playable, or at least interesting. Japan has almost no decks that function like that. Like, virtually zero. Think right now, if they added like 2 new cards of your choice, like you got to design 2 new Japanese cards, what new decks you could create with just 2 cards? Because I can think of like a lot of decks in the game right now, like Spitfire, T-34, 2 really well designed cards, powerful and impactful, could make those decks like up to tier 2. Japan just has absolutely nothing. So this is Reichsbank Commander. You saw at the beginning of the game, we did Spoils of War, picked the Crusader, turn 3 Reichsbank, and now we are popping off. This Convoy is going to draw me up to 8. Hopefully it can draw me into a Honey or a Commando, because I really want to play Cup of Tea, but I also would like to play Cup of Tea on more than just 1 unit, if possible. Because I don't want to overdraw... Oh, I could play Raid, actually. The Raid should keep this alive. But yeah, like, I think a really interesting direction for Japan Control that I would like to take it in, but it would require quite a few cards, would be a sort of big order in Japan, where, like, you create a bunch of cards that have quality synergy based on there being expensive orders. So either cards that reduce... the reason I did it in this order is just because if there's Stranglehold, and like the odds of Stranglehold is pretty low, and I could have done Spoils of War, I suppose, if I had played Pioneers first. But you never know. And at this stage, I'm still not entirely sure what I want off of Spoils of War. But yeah, so like cards that reduce the cost of specifically expensive orders. So I really, really hate cards that just give you free credits. Like, I think Reichsbank is fine because you're spending 3 credits to invest 5 credit, like to get 5 back on specifically the following turn. But cards like Observer Corps, I hate. I think cards like Observer Corps are way too powerful just as a potential card in the future. Okay, can I get cards that I can play? Okay, where are my units? I swear I have units in this deck. There we go. Yeah, so something that, like, if you have a 10 cost, or like an order that costs 8 or more in hand, do X. Or like a unit that is really, really expensive for like a small body, with deployment, your next order costs 0. So it's like a net tempo gain that can be exclusively used for these expensive orders, rather than a card like Observer Corps, where it can be used for an infinite number of reasons in an infinite number of situations, and leads to things like turn 2 Southern Plan that breaks the game. So this is discard. We've got a Fog of War and Crusader. That's kind of fine. At this point, I'm just going for Commandos, I think. That's not bad. I think because I'm drawing with Crusaders, I think I would rather... I think I want Commonwealth in the deck, to be completely honest. And I'm not playing another Commando until I get a Cup of Tea. Yeah, so I think there's a couple of ways you can make Japan Control quite interesting. I would say take 1k from the first card in Gunboat and add it to the second card you get. Hey, that's possible. Jking, streaming idea, you should start a podcast about cards. I actually had a podcast about cards a very long time ago. It was not that good. Don't worry about trying to find it. It was pretty bad. Do I want to try to go off on the commandos. Potentially. I think I want to play this first. Could just hit him in the face for 2. I know this is like net less damage than playing timely supplies, but I do want to keep a couple cards in hand for Crusader. So at this point I just need to not have Commonwealth discarded in the next 4 turns. Which means I don't want to draw too many cards. I think I have 1 commander left in deck. Yeah, there it is. Okay, let's see if I had a 0 cost order. We do. I think I can pass now, because Monty should be the 3rd or 4th last card in my deck, which means there's 2 more cards before I can draw, not Commonwealth. So there's 2 more cards before I can draw Commonwealth, which means I don't want to try to draw it before I have the opportunity to play it. If possible, I want to draw it on the turn that I'm going to play it. Okay, that's the best card in his hand he could have hit with the discard, but the fact that he's playing discard now is a net positive for me. Hey Jking, have you tried making a deck with only autocomplete? I haven't tried it, but it sounds fun. I feel like I did that a while ago. Like a long time ago. Do I want to play this? I think I'm assuming it's getting altered. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we'll just start dealing some damage. Yeah, I haven't done that. That sounds like something that would be really fun to do against somebody else that is doing it, and less fun to do like on ladder in general, because just playing ladder with a bad deck with no theme, I feel like is less fun than if you're playing with a bad deck with no theme against another bad deck with no theme. I find that if you have 10 or less health archetype, it will be very underwhelming. Yeah, I mean that's just an archetype that's just going to always suck, because it requires you to be under 10 health. And I don't know, you're just always gonna die if that happens. Like, there's just so much burn in the game. Like, this guy should be running low on removal, right? I actually might have lethal here. If I get... Okay, well, not with that. Yeah, if I had a supply shortage, I would have lethal by playing supply shortage in Monty to deal 4 damage with commandos. Can you confirm Jafar Kingston is indeed your government name? No comment. And we got him. Yikes Bank defeating commandos. Or, sorry, Yikes Bank commandos defeating discard. As God intended. It's the funniest thing if you don't look at decks first, you autocomplete and go straight into the match. I don't think I've done that in Cards, but I've definitely done that in Hearthstone, back when I played Hearthstone. A lot. I don't understand why Ancient Empire sets health to 8 and not, say, 10. Probably because they were worried that setting health to 10 would have been too strong. Like, I don't think they wanted people to one, be using it outside of a dedicated, like, lower your health deck. Um, like, I don't think they wanted, like, I don't know, resistance using it as, like, a backup healing method. And two, um, I think they were worried about, like, if you play it on turn 2, and then you start slamming Sunrise divisions, like the 9/9, if you have 10 or less health, or the 2/3 Blitz IDs if you have 10 or less health. I think they were worried about the power of people just playing those out, starting from turn 3 and onwards. Um, so as a to stop that being too powerful, they have you go to 8 instead of 10. So that way it makes it easier for your opponent to just rush you down if you try to go like full YOLO for it. Jking, what was the biggest comeback moment you had on ladder in recent time? That's a very good question. I feel like I have a lot of games where it's not necessarily like I'm at 1 health and I make like the complete turnaround from 1 health. Um, but a lot of games where it's like I have absolutely no business winning. Like it's a frontline mirror, where I have like 1 card in hand and I don't have control of the front line, and he has like 4 cards in hand and like 2 units in the front line. So it's like positionally lost. Like the person should not be able to, like, I should not be able to win from that position. If I just showed you a screenshot, you should say you're at full health, but you will lose this game 100% of the time. And then just through exploiting my opponent's mistakes, I like get control of the front line for 1 turn, and I play Sherman into a Sherman, and suddenly we're equal hand size. And even though I'm still down on tempo, I like go for the 8/8 5th Rangers, and am able to like start maintaining control of the front line, getting more tempo, and yeah, a lot of games like that, rather than being at like 1 health and making a control style comeback, just because I play a lot more aggro decks on ladder, and aggro decks typically have a lot of less close games, or at least the close games look less close, because it's usually like I'm at full health, but I'm very low on cards, and I top deck the things needed to deal the last bit of damage to my opponent. And I feel like the coolest close matches are the ones where you're at like 1 health and you're able to turn it around. The problem is the deck completely craps itself if you happen to not draw Ancient Empires early though, right? Yeah, or if you draw too many Ancient Empires, or if you draw Ancient Empires and not the things that Ancient Empires enables, because there's not actually a lot of cards that want you to be that low on health. There's like 7. So yeah, the deck as a whole is just very, very bad. But it's a deck that can produce highlights. Like I'm sure people have sent screenshots around of them having like 3 Sunrise divisions on the board by like turn 4. Just because a deck can produce a very good situation does not mean it is a good deck. There are 8. Oh, is the Audi a standard? I was thinking the Audi's a limited, but actually the Audi might be a standard now that I'm like thinking about it more. POV turn 11, you're on 1 health, your opponent's sitting on 8, you top deck Shiden. I feel like I'm the opponent in that situation, Red. I feel like we have been there before, and I'm the opponent. Okay, let's look for a 0-cost Commandos. 1-cost Commandos, 0-cost Cup of Tea. And look at that. It's turn 4, and look at this situation. Like, how on earth is my opponent supposed to come back from this? That was the worst target for him to hit. Like, as in, it's very good for me. It is bad for him that he hit that target. Gonna get another Reichsbank off. Gain some credits. Might as well pin the unpinned unit. It's turn 5, I've healed 16. This feels like the good old days when people first discovered Brit-US commandos, back when supply chain could go to 0 cost, and special delivery was draw 3. And like people were running Indian brigades, and also there was no health cap, so like people were getting up to like 160, 170 health by like turn 6 or 7. It's really funny. You'd get like triple honey on the board, 0-cost supply chains, and like an Indian brigade. So every time you drew a card, you would heal 6 health. And you're drawing like 20 cards a turn. So the problem now is he did manage to remove a bunch of units, which is annoying. Okay, well, I managed to fully clear the board, so I can't play my naval power, which is probably fine. This is why you do Bridge Japan Commandos, do Ancient Empires slowly as pings with reorganizes to get extra pings and shuffle the extra Ancient Empires back in. That sounds like the worst thing I've ever heard. But also simultaneously amazing. Hopefully I can get a... Not this at all. Resourcefulness gets 2 cards out of my deck. Timely Supplies also gets 2 cards out of my deck. I have a Timely Supplies in hand. Let's go for this, get the commando, and then naval power it. How good behaves that commando deck into Jaguar and Frontline? Into Frontline, this deck is insane, because they have almost no way to kill your commandos, and the deck is usually not that fast. And like just a little bit of ping, just a little bit of pin can slow them down enough to basically crush them before they can blitzkrieg you. Against Jagro, it's a little closer since Akitas can be annoying, the deck's faster, and this deck can be somewhat slow. It doesn't run like Bloody Sickles or anything, obviously. Or supply shortages. So against Jagro, it can be a little weaker. I still think it's probably favored against both. Just because, again, Jagro is a deck that's going to struggle to kill your commandos once they're on board. Okay, please kill the Blackwatch. Alright, we got it. Sorry, let me restate. A podcast about cards with other people and their opinions besides your own. Having a back and forth with someone is better than just sitting listening to someone's opinion. Yeah. I get what you mean. I had a podcast with Darkness, and we brought on like Ollie and stuff. Now, I definitely think most of the issues with that old podcast were both Darkness and I being just less experienced in general with talking to an audience, or like in front of an audience. Maybe I should have done Monty first, because I get 1 less ping, but I get the guaranteed card draw. Please don't hit the, Oh wait, he has a second Blackwatch. Completely forgot about that. But yeah, podcast, I definitely would not write it off as a future possibility. Do not have any intentions of doing that currently. Crusader and massive frame drop. Holy cow, the frames. Is it true that some decks are good as memes because they would be infuriating to play against if competitive through a buff, for example, Japan's self-discard? No, I think those decks are like, I think some decks, well, okay. Yes. I don't think Japan self-discard is an example of that. I think decks that are more just like a hyper-aggressive, like decks that try to end the game as quickly as possible, would be example of decks that are purposefully not given extra tools, because that would just be deeply, deeply unfun. Even like if there's tons of counterplay, just run 4 Awoken Giants in every deck, but that would suck. I think decks like Betty are not given new cards because, like, not for any particular reason. Like, if you look at Betty, Betty has been given a whole bunch of cards. It just happens to be all of the cards that Betty has got is worse than cards that exist in other decks. And I don't think they want to just, like, start throwing in super powerful cards or buffing cards to be super powerful, because they have tried doing that before and it has led to very, very broken decks. Like, a lot of times they have buffed a card and the deck was too good and they had to then take back the buff or nerf other cards that were part of that deck. And I don't think they like doing that. So I'm assuming that Betty, they're probably happy with where Betty is now in terms of the number of cards that exist for it. And in the future, if it becomes meta because of a shift in what decks other people are playing or what cards other people are playing, I think they'd be happy with that. But I kind of doubt they would move forward with more Betty cards in the future, or at least not more than like 1 or 2 Betty cards in the future. Like, I don't think the next expansion is going to be like Betty themed for Japan. I would assume we are either getting new archetypes or please, please, please support some sort of Japanese control deck. Yeah. You should just become the next Road Jogan. True. Because devs don't want to create counter to discard. I mean, there is a bunch of counter to discard, it just doesn't happen to be good. But I mean, to be fair, discard is typically not good. Well, sorry. Discard has not been super good for a long period of time. Time starts on the first frame after clicking confirm on the mulligan screen. Tones gray. Time ends at the first frame where victory UI element can be seen. On the first frame after clicking confirm. Okay, so you can spend as much time on the mulligan as you want. That is very interesting information, because I was going off the assumption that you couldn't do that. Like, I was going off the assumption that it started as soon as, like, you could click cards. Like, as soon as I mean, they don't turn green like they do in Hearthstone, but it's obviously not podcast format, but our showcase matches we have on. Yeah, actually, that's very true. Top Deckers, like, I feel like Top Deckers very much holds the, like, if you want cards-based podcasts, just, I mean, look at the current channel you are on. I think they already do a very great job of that format, and I mean, I don't think I would have anything to add to that. Also, it's a lot less effort for me to occasionally appear in Cards Top Deckers videos alongside somebody else than it is for me to have to organize that. I'm very glad that I'm not having to organize people. Organizing people is not something that I'm particularly good at or particularly enjoy doing. I would really like this Akita to die just because so I can stop having to worry about where the destruction effect is going to hit. Okay, that worked out really well. I think they are trying to keep it dynamic so, like, card can be very good in a deck type, but decent in general. Yeah. That's what I'd assume. I kind of prefer that they have it laid out in the rules. Tarouchi playing Jaguar Handlock. Yeah, I remember back in the day before Lend-Lease when MI5, like, there was so little card game in the card draw in the game, that MI5 was in basically every single Britain deck ever. Like, Brit Air would run 4 convoys and 2 MI5s. Great game. Great state of the game. Okay, we got the bank. We're kind of lined up for a how do you call it? Bombing raid at the moment. Or daylight bombing onto the 2-1. Okay, you wanna see a pop-off? I'm gonna show you a pop-off. Is it worth... Okay, so at the moment I need to cast 6... Yeah, so it's not worth playing this, actually. Timely supplies into convoy. Convoy into cup of tea. Spoils of war into timely supplies. Timely supplies. Okay, Commonwealth. Cup of tea. Reichsbank. And I could still play another order that turn if I wanted to. Yeah, I just killed my opponent from essentially full health. That was a 21 damage turn with commandos. This is what I love about the deck. Is like when I actually originally built this deck, I didn't run Commonwealth. I've later put it in just because it's really good consistency against decks that run a lot of removal for your commandos. But the original build of the deck was intended to be like sort of a commandos aggro deck where you were trying to deal lethal damage with commandos, rather than it being Commonwealth is your win condition and sometimes you win through commandos. For every hour you see Jking on stream, there's 4 to 5 production hours of us trying to organize him. It's true. I am notoriously difficult to organize. They say, be here at 2 p.m. sharp, and at like 4:30 they're still phoning me, and I'm like out on a walk somewhere. I come in the next day. Tell them to stick it where the sun don't shine. Literally an entire day to get that pineapple shirt screen ready. I miss Flamewaker Mage, good thing it's still playable in cards. Yeah, I mean, Flamewaker was way better than Commandos is in cards for a variety of reasons. For people that don't know, Flamewaker is a card from Hearthstone, which read, whenever you cast an order, deal 2 random damage to enemies. Okay. Yikes. I feel like Night Raid, at this point, with no bank and no Crusader, I think taking a second Night Raid is a little ambitious. So I'm just gonna stick with this. Get the raid out. Early raid shuts down it decks so hard. It's possible he has a patrol or a dive bomb in here, which would really suck, but it appears he doesn't because he's played a 3-credit 30-second infantry. Massive frames drop again. Is it the ants? Are the ants giving me frame drop? Okay, timely supplies into timely supplies. Into spoils of... this is why I love timely supplies. This is like exactly... This has huge Dominion energy to it. This is basically what you're trying to do in Dominion every single turn. Like, this is the card's equivalent of village into village. Okay, we'll get a 3rd Spoils of War. And he's probably just going to play Cup of Tea. Or, sorry, he's probably just going to play Half Track if I play Cup of Tea. He will 100% play Half Track if I play Cup of Tea. The question is it worth playing anyways? No, I don't think so. Because he probably half-tracks it, and then next turn I replay Commandos, I do Spoils of War Cup of Tea. We actually told him the stream was planned for the 13th, just so he'd be ready for the 15th. Okay, so he didn't play half-track, which is fine. It just means I'd have 2 more credits here. Okay, we finally find a bank. And with this bank, I'm just going to play it. I don't have a Crusader yet, but this is going to let me get Night Raid out if he half-tracks the Commandos. It's going to give me the credits to replay that. I think if I'm playing Cops next turn, I have to play 2 Cops to get them out of Strap Bombing range. I think this is sort of a best-case scenario for me. I mean, yeah, this is best-case scenario. I'm happy the half-track came down. Like, obviously, he could have more, and he's potentially setting up a Blitzkrieg lethal, but... That's going to be a pretty good card. Just pin the one that doesn't die. Hopefully it kills one of them. It does. Double hit face. Yeah, I don't need to play another Cup of Tea. Second half-track. Is he going to have triple half-track? Okay. That would be really bad if I didn't have Monty. But I do have Monty, so we're chillin'. Crusader is also a very good draw. Now the question is, do I want to do Crusader, Cup of Tea, Monty, or do I want to just do... Yeah, no, I do want to do that. I don't have 6 credits. For some reason I was thinking I had enough credits to do We Can Do It and Monty this turn. Monty first in case the Commandos kill one of the 2/2 tanks. Which they do. Yeah, Timely Supplies is very underrated. I love that card so much. The problem right now is it's in Britain. Like, if it was in any other nation, like if Timely Supplies was a Japanese card, that would open up so many interesting possibilities. But being a British card, it's like, why would you want to run a card that thins your deck at the cost of consistency when you are in a nation with the best card draw in the game and enough card draw to draw through your entire deck consistently anyways? So, do we pop off with... Probably going to pop off with the honey. Obviously I would really like to get the Pioneer on the board. But I also think healing is probably more important than Pioneer at this point. Ooh, okay. I think I'm going to go for Convoy. Get some naval powers. Well, that ran out of steam pretty fast. Yeah, this is another big problem with the deck, is board space. But, I mean, if you just look at that turn, I healed 8 and killed a unit and dealt damage to, like, 2 more units. And drew, like, several cards. You smashed the world record, annihilated. Yeah, it was really funny. When I started the speedrunning, I think the first thing I tried to do was, like, the Japan regular format world record, and on my first or second game, I blew the record away by, like, 20 seconds, which is insane. Like, I halved the time on the first record I tried on my first or second try, and then I spent the next, like, hour and a half trying to beat the record at all, on the second record. So Reichsbanks is getting played. I think I'm just gonna go for the Pioneer. This puts me up to 8. Let's see what I get. Get the naval power, but the board gets cleared, so we're fine. I've seen so many people trigger 3k entrapment with timely supply. Draw. I don't think I've ever seen that. It's a weird combination. Oh my god, this guy's running the cursed beef. Okay, I think there's a good possibility he's just dead this turn. I might run into cards, though. We'll see. Okay, we'll get to see what's left in the deck. Pretty good cards. So we know what's left in the deck is not, like, necessarily the greatest thing ever. Is there guaranteed lethal this turn? One, two... Oh, it's one off! Okay. Well, it's fine. We're taking an obscene amount of fatigue damage, but... one off. I think if the pings had cleared the front line sooner, I would have been able to play a Night Raid. But yeah. Look at that. We demolished this frontline deck. Was not even close. It's turn 10, and I'm drawing into 5 of fatigue. Like, yeah. This is just Dominion the Cards deck. When this deck goes off, it's like not even fair. Okay, you know what? That's enough ladder. I'm tired of playing against mostly AI and like 2-minute queues. We are going to go into draft mode. Does it not tell you how many draft tickets you have anymore? Do I have a draft going? No, I don't. Okay. Okay, people, vote on what nation I should pick. Normally I would just pick US, but I'm kind of leaning towards Germany, honestly. What do you think about hybrid decks? What exactly do you mean by hybrid decks? Like, yeah, 'cause I guess that could mean a few different things. Brits, US, Germany, Germany. Okay, 2 Brits, 1 US, 2 Germanys. I'm voting Germany, so it's 3 Germanys. 3 Brits, 3 Germanys. 4 Brits. People just really want to see Britain draft. Do you not see enough Britain in tournaments and ladder already? Okay. We'll do Britain. Blackwatch and Wrath seem like they would both be very strong in draft. I think Wrath more so. So I do not play a lot of draft. But I used to be really, really cracked at draft. When draft first came out, I was averaging over 6 wins. That's how I got a full collection. But that was a long time ago with a much worse player base and many, many less cards. However, the principles should basically be the same, and that is tempo is king. Cards that do stuff, cards that have blitz, cards that have deployment are almost always better than cards that are just stats, or cards that have a destruction effect. Obvious exceptions being Soviets, because Soviets just have stupidly good destruction effects. Um, I mean, Blackwatch kind of has a tempo, but it's like a situational tempo, because if your opponent's hand has a lot of orders, Blackwatch is a huge tempo card. But if your opponent has no orders, or Blackwatch is a really, really bad card, whereas Wrath is almost always guaranteed tempo card, if it's a little worse on stats. I'm going to take the Wrath. Okay. These all suck. I mean, it's going to be the Hurricane because they suck the least, but that's the other thing in draft is you do not want dead cards. You want as few orders as possible unless the orders are really, really good. Like We Can Do It, it's a really good order. Hammer, Spyring, those are really good orders. Delaying Tactics is not a good order. Are we just like kind of... Do we ever just go for the Exile deck? I mean, the Exile deck is not even good in Standard. It's not going to be good in Draft. I mean, Inniskilling is pretty rough. Crusader just seems like the objectively correct choice here. However, Crusader's the boring pick, you know? We're just gonna go for it. You know, I have like 80 draft tickets or something silly like that. I don't even get Poland Ally. I don't even get Poland Ally. I have 3 Exile cards. 75% of my deck is Polish cards, and I can't pick Poland Ally. Okay, people. Vote on what nation we're gonna do. Ally nation, I mean. I mean, we could just do mono Brits. Italy, Brits, Brits again. Okay, that's it. 3 for mono Brits. I don't know why I'm voting for mono Brits. Like, at this point, the deck... I feel like the deck is not going to turn out well, so I'm going for max memes. Italy, 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 Brits. Okay, that's 4 for Italy. Soviets for Exile. That is true, there's 1 Exile Soviet card. Actually, that's true, there's 2 Soviet Exile cards. Yep, okay. The people have spoken, though. We're picking Italy. And, oh boy. Do I regret it already? I mean... Valentine's not terrible, and it's a one-of card. The Machi... Yeah. I mean, it's not a terrible card. Even if you have less health than your opponent, it's not terrible, and it's pretty good in the early game. I'm just gonna pick the Machi. Livorno Regiment's actually quite good in draft, I think. The M3 Grant would be fine if we got a lot of healing, which we don't have. Lancashire Fusiliers is also fine. Lend-Lease, really good. That's one thing in draft. Almost always take card draw. Because almost all games are going to be sort of grind out, like, slugfests that go on forever. So if one player has card draw and the other player doesn't, the player with card draw is almost certainly going to win. Because you have to fight to get any degree of card advantage, and Lend-Lease is just +4 cards. So, yeah, Lend-Lease is stupidly good in draft. It's like the one thing the Brits have going for them. Naval support sucks. Aerial reconnaissance sucks even more, but I think I'm going to take Blenheim because it's a unit. When you're picking between a terrible order and a terrible unit, always take the unit because the unit sometimes does something. Same reason... Well, okay, here's the thing. Kitty Hawk's not terrible. Just getting that out of the way. It's not terrible. It's not great. It's a lot better in Standard. Like, it's a lot better in Ranked than it is in Draft, since there's a lot of cool synergies you can do with it in Ranked. I'm a fan of Against the Odds. I've been thinking that this card is kind of cracked for a long time. It just doesn't exist a great deck to use it in. But I'm a big fan of Against the Odds. And I kind of want to pick it here, just because it's funny. Okay. Okay, Cass is broken. Like, genuinely broken, but we already have 2 British air units. I could just, like, start building into an air deck. I think I'm just going to take the 7th Alpini, though. Don't want to lean too hard into the memes. Number 1 Commando. So another thing in draft that I have a pretty strong opinion on is a lot of people I know try to draft with a curve. I think 1-cost units, unless you're Japan, are essentially all terrible. And 2-cost units are generally can be avoided in draft. Like, I've gone 7-0 without any 2-drops in my deck. Number 1 Commandos is an example of a 2-drop that I really, really like, because it's a 2-drop that does something if you top deck it, like, on turn 12. Because you can play it, and then it's threatening any unit in the front line on the following turn. I mean, Lancaster's not awful if you draw it on turn 12. It's very good if you draw it on turn 12. The problem is the reverse of 2-drops, where it gets worse later into the game. The Lancaster is worse earlier in the game, and surviving to turn 12 is not a given, so I'm going to take the Commandos. Yikes. I think I'm going to take the Spitfire, just because Hummer, like, it was the same reason I don't like most 2-drops. Hummer's just absolutely terrible. And Fighters, if you're going to be picking a vanilla unit, Fighter is the best vanilla unit you can pick. Ooh, okay, this is another tough call. Sorry. Second Lend-Lease or Decima? Kind of a fan of the Lend-Lease. Generally speaking, Britain is going to get good cards. Baluch Regiment is an example of a good card to get. I have 1 retreat card for Typhoon right now. I have 2 Spitfires, actually, for Afro Anson. Rescue Mission is way too slow. I'm going to take the Typhoon. Again, Fighters is just the best, the best text you can have. I'm going to take the Napoli. I've never played this card, and it does not seem good to me, but it seems better than the other options. The curve of this deck is getting a little clunky. Okay, I guess I've just taken a Hurricane. Taken a Machi, because the other cards suck. I really like 7th Alpini, and it will make up for the fact that we have a low curve, so I'm going to take it. The Canone seems really good. Like, Fiat also seems fine, but the Canone seems really good. Because this is a 1-drop which doesn't scale great into the late game. Fiat scales better, but Canone on curve is such a huge advantage. Observer Cores could be decent because we have 2 Lend-Leases. I'm going to take another Against the Odds just because it's fun. Your 52nd world record on USA has been beaten by my 49s. Okay, maybe we'll, depending on how this draft goes, we might be running, speed runs. Another 2 Lancashire Fusiliers. Another RAF. That's another thing I remember. This one probably doesn't age as well as the Go for Tempo cards. Philosophy. But I remember Heavy Armor being, like, the best thing ever in draft back when I played it a lot. And, like, Cromwell is one of the... Just the stats. Like, 3/6 tank with Heavy Armor 1 stats is insane. This is the stats of KV1, which can be a very difficult unit to remove. Now, obviously, the effect is significantly worse than the KV1 effect, but the stats are really good, but it's hard to say no to the effect of RAF. Gonna take 2 more Canones. I would really like some Guard at this point. Buffalo, I mean, we already have a lot of 2-drops as well. I don't really want another Lancashire Fusiliers. Honestly, might take the Coastal Gun, because it's kind of funny. We don't have the most 4-drops ever. Lancashire Fusiliers is just a really strong card, in my honest opinion. Gonna take another Spitfire, because it's a 1-of. Hurricane, because it has Blitz. Does this second chance just draw 2 Lend-Leases? This is just draw my card draw. That's kind of hilarious. It's that or a 6-cost Spitfire, which... yeah. I mean... it's just like makes... yeah. Yeah. We're gonna try second chance with 2 Lend-Leases. That's just like a funny combination. I don't think it's that good. Okay, last card of the deck. Firefly, Oxford, or Big Commandos. We're definitely not picking the Big Commandos. Oxford or Firefly? I mean, ground units deployed. So, we have the Canone. Oxford plus Canone is kind of cracked. We have the Napoli and the Churchill. 7th Alpini is not bad. Livorno, not terrible. I mean, we have nothing that this hurts. We have no ground unit with higher attack than defense. I mean, I think Firefly is just better. Firefly is just objectively better. Do not get me wrong. But, like, have we ever been... throughout this entire draft, you guys have not been telling me to pick what is good. Okay, people want Firefly. The people want the Firefly. That is fine. We'll take the Firefly. Oh, the curve of this deck is so high. You know what? Screw it. We're taking the Oxford. This is going to lead to funny situations. This is going to lead to clippable moments. Possibly. Maybe for me, maybe for my opponents, but this is going to have the highest clippable moment possibility. So, we're doing it for the content. We pick what we love, and we love Firefly. Nah, you guys just love Nathan Fillion. Okay. Game 1, another Brits. These suck. These are pretty good. This is just like a ludicrously powerful on-curve play. Alright, off to a strong start. Going second against somebody who has a 1-drop in draft. If I get naval power pushed, I'm gonna be mad. Just saying that now. Hello? I'm kind of terrified about this card. I think I would rather just play it slow. Oh! Oh, it happened! Oh, Lord. Well, the auto Canone is dead. Oh my god. Dude! What is this? Okay. Okay. This is fine. This is fine. Okay, I can't really play Lancashires because of the Piracy. Just gonna trade and play a 2-2 Bocce. Why is this guy playing aggressive? I mean, maybe his hand sucks, but like, this playstyle like specifically works really, really well into my current hand. I mean, what is that? Okay. Okay, at least it doesn't have Fury anymore. It's just a 4-4 fighter. I mean, he can drop me to 8 health. which is not great. If he does that, I can attack and Spitfire. Okay, well, I'm glad I didn't play Oxford last turn. What the hell is that, dude? Okay. That's a very good draw, actually. Oh my god. This guy. This guy. Man, maybe I should do draft more often. I mean, this is the type of content that would just make me angry if I was playing it by myself, but played this for other people makes me feel like vindicated. Okay, so we got either 7th Alpini, Lancashires, or Maki. Okay, you got the Maki. That's fine. All good in the hood. I could just like slam a 7/7 Napoli. Could also play 7th Alpini and push. This has guard, right? Okay, for some reason I thought the Napoli has guard. Don't mind that play. Just pretend that play didn't happen. How does this card not have guard? This card is so bad. Holy crap. I thought... Oh my goodness. This card is terrible. Okay. It's fine. Everything's good. It's okay. We win these. We win these. It's not even a question. We win these. Has he shown an ally nation yet? Because the Machi was off of... I'm gonna get like air blitzed or some crap. No, it's France. So I could die to like Cross of Lorraine or something. Okay. Lend leases. Is that a naval power? This guy's like building a Commonwealth deck. Wait, he's sacked? Okay. So for 5, 6, 8, I can clear the board. Not dying to retreat seems pretty good. Okay. This is winnable. Like, I might just die to an AO power, of course. But, like, oh, no, 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 okay, we're not dead, we're not dead, we're not dead. I feel like there's a very high chance he just missed lethal, but we're not dead. Okay, so this just draws us into some... Do I push this? Like, surely I must push this, right? Like, surely? There's... How many blitz plane? Like, how many blitz fighters are there? There's, like, in France and Britain. I think this is literally the only one. Like, he could give blitz to a fighter, but I think this is literally the only card. And he has not played any copies of it yet, and I'm at 1 health. I'm gonna push this. And I'm gonna keep the fighter back, because there's a lot more blitz bombers, but... Who is J Monarchy 1776? That's a very good question. Okay. This does nothing. That's not great. That's pretty bad. Oh, that's very good, though. That is very good. Please. No Wrath. No air power. No second Kitty Hawk. Second chance. No air power, no air power, no air power. Okay. No, what's that card that costs less for air units you control that can go face? Sea Patrol? No Sea Patrol. Britain does not have a lot of burn. France does not have a lot of burn. Defend in depth does not deal a lot of damage. He has one order in hand. Oh, we got the healing! We got the healing. I don't know what he's doing, but we got the healing. Oh, he's throwing. Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna sack this. I should probably be a little concerned. However, I hit this, I heal to 16, he drops to 18. I can keep my Machi alive, actually. Alright. Red Sun, you asked earlier, what's like the craziest comeback I've done in cards? This game, right now. Not in the cards ever, I've definitely made crazier comebacks than this, but in recent memory, definitely this one. Actually, I think last time, I remember like I had a game on stream a while ago where I was at like 1 health against Japan-France Resistance with 12 kamikazes in deck for like 7 turns. And I like went on to win. Oh, this guy drafted Resourcefulness with 0 commandos. Oh, buddy. I'm up to 30 health. 7th Alpini is such a stupid card. Okay, I can draw my Lend-Leases. Didn't know Britain was having a civil war involving Italy and France. Yeah, I mean, you know, the Italian monarchy and the British monarchy fighting over who gets the throne of France. I mean, if you've ever played Hoi 4, that's basically what happens. We'll hit him with the Cheerio. Okay, 1-0. This deck is cracked. If we continue on the current rate, we will go 7-0. That's just statistically that is going to be what happens. I absolutely love. Is this a copy deck? Yes, I'm so happy. I just noticed that. I've been asking for a copy deck function on draft decks since they introduced draft. Because I used to want to, like, I used to keep track of all my drafts, and I used to save the decks so I could, like, look back at what cards were in the decks to see which cards performed better than other cards. But the only way to save the decks was by manually creating them in the game and then copying the deck code, which took a lot of time. Yeah, that game was hilarious. Why'd they make Oxford a mirror effect? Probably because Oxford without a mirror effect is just, like, too powerful. And what I mean by too powerful is, like, in specific situations, it is a ludicrously powerful card, and it is an elite, which can be difficult to remove for certain nations. Would I actually rather play the #1 commander than the second Canone? I think so. Because then I can push it to the front and play the second Canone and attack something. It's kind of not what I wanted him to play. I'm just going to play the Blue Regiment. I need to keep in mind Stars and Stripes. Because, like, every single deck in draft ever has, like, 6 Stars and Stripes. Okay, his Warhawk can take out one of these RDs, but that's going to be basically his whole turn, because he's presumably also going to be hitting into this #1 commander. He could trade with the Baluk, because of the way 2/5 Marines works. Very interesting he chooses to keep the commando alive. This says to me that he has a way of killing commandos. In a way that, well, presumably retreat commandos now. In a way that's pretty fine. Yeah, it's a good thing I went for that Oxford. That Oxford did come in clutch. The guy also trolled super hard by playing the Kitty Hawk when he did. Like, if he didn't miss lethal in hand, he almost certainly could have set up like a 2-turn lethal. Okay. Battery Red Devils. Gonna hold this up. So he does have the 2-cost naval bombardment. So honestly, maybe I shouldn't even have pushed. I still think pushing is fine because making him play it is worth a lot. Because one, it just cuts out of his hand. 2, it means he goes down to 2 credits. He can't, like, I don't know, Sherman or something. Yeah, look at this pro strats playing around the support line board clears. This guy's probably thinking I have, like, X-ray hacks or something. Oh, okay. Probably shouldn't have held up against the odds in retrospect when pushing that. Maybe, honestly, I should have attacked face, because attacking to this almost certainly will not matter. And attacking face just means that I get one more attack on Napoli when I play it. Yo, this card's cracked. Look how good Napoli is. Can you imagine how strong this card would be if it had guard? Like, who would ever give this card guard? This card's insane. What are the best setups for draft? I am... Holy crap. Ooh, that is bad. Okay, that's not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. So that's 2, 3. I will have enough credits to go for Lend-Lease if I want. And I do think I want, because... oh, I forgot they fully heal. Holy crap. That's insane. Okay, in that case, I'm definitely not playing Lend-Lease. We'll just push this. And I don't think the 1-2 bomber is going to be doing a lot. Yeah, I don't play a lot of draft. Pretty sure US is just generally really good in draft. Okay, so that's going to trade with Napoli, and then we get the Fusiliers up. This did not draw a card. Could also retreat this. That does kind of give him some good trades, though. I'm going to retreat this guy there. Oh, it's enemy spotted. Damn it. I mean, like, I'm taking the front line at some point this game. I couldn't never take the front line. It's not a mistake. It's just sad that he has it. Which expansion was Napoli released in? Napoli was one of the... what do you call them? The skirmish cards. So, like, the cards you get from playing the bi-weekly. Oh, that is a Tony. That is a Tony. That is an air sub. Why did he... Okay, whatever. Well, if there's ever been a time to draw, now is that time. If there's ever been a time to not play Canone, now is that time. Can you imagine how boned I would be if I did Oxford Canone for the full support line, and then he just, like, slams down a 6/6/7 regiment and Stars and Stripes? I think I'm gonna trade with one of these. I guess I could have played Oxford and attacked face with the Machi instead of playing the Hurricane. I'm just worried about Stars and Stripes. Like, obviously he can't Stars and Stripes this. Yeah, there he goes. Maybe I should have just not played the fighter at all. This is one of the reasons US is best in draft. Because the game's slowed down a lot, so playing things in the support line is generally more favorable. I could just, like, go off right now. Wait, are you kidding me? It applies first? Oxford reduced the attack of my Napoli. Pershing? What is happening? Oh my... Come on, dude. This is some garbage. Well, I'd really like it if my opponent didn't have a Pershing, but not a whole lot I can do about that now. Okay, I think I have to double trade into Pershing. Just the ways I lose to... Maybe I should have traded this, honestly. I feel like Oxford's now a net negative for me. Well, if I trade it, just... I'm gonna force him to spend the credits. Okay. Okay, this is card draw. We get one Lend-Lease. I would rather... Yeah. Attack like this, attack like this. Guess that play was bad in the Navy, but it's fine. Okay, can we make a comeback against this board with this hand? That is the question. That's a pretty good start. Now, the question is, do I retreat this off the board to just delay him a lot? With no guards, I think that's a bad idea because I take 12. So I think the best play is to just retreat this. Or maybe the best play is just to develop a unit this turn, since Raft does not do a lot. Like, once it's on the board. Okay. That's fine. Get this out of here. Man, his units have so much health. Like, also my units have a lot of health, but like, holy crap, his units have a lot of health. Well, there they go, getting a bit of more health. I have 7 cards in deck. Yeah, this game's over. This came a little bit too late. We're technically not dead on board, since I can do this. We're out of card draw though. And like we can top deck a 7th Alpini, but wait, no, I am dead on board. I can't count. Never mind. Okay, well, 1-1. That is not necessarily the unexpected result of playing against a US deck with this deck. Ooh. Okay, game 3, Germany. Seen a good range of draft decks this time around, so that's good. Do I keep Blenheim over Baluk? Against Germany, probably. They don't have great ways of dealing with air units. Their good fighters don't really come in until a bit later. And their early game's not that great. Well, German early game is very good in standard, but they're really bad on their own. They're good with synergy with each other. Careless Amaki, that's fine. Okay. Passes. Thinks a long time and then passes. I feel like there's a good chance there's a second Careless, but like, I'd rather play Blenheim than Hurricane. Nothing. Also, what is this guy's name? Furchen. Furchen. Okay. Well, this guy is taking his sweet time to do his turn. I will once again remind people to subscribe to the Cards Top Deckers channel, if you haven't already. They do amazing content featuring a lot of different people in and about the cards community, as well as guides, and of course now the occasional stream. So, yeah, guys should subscribe. Zippo is going to be a really good counter to Lancashire's. So I'll probably just double trade it, depending on what he uses his other 6 credits on. Okay. I'm now more fine with this trading into it. I can just take the kill on the 17th, and then we trade 1 for 1. Pass. Holy crap. Holy crap, dude. Chillax. Double fresh recruits. This deals 11 damage to my HQ. Okay, at least it's stuck there, and I can retreat it. Holy crap. Pass? In what worlds do you pass? I'm going to attack first in case it's Stranglehold. It's sniped? It's sniped? Oh my... Dude, it's sniped. What the hell is this? Does this guy just think countermeasures are, like, all countermeasures are just cracked? And you should pick any countermeasure that comes up in draft? Okay, 2-1. We did it. That was a game. Most certainly was a game. Okay. Have I explained what the cool green sticker is? I have not. So, as you may or may not know, I have a coaching service. So, for $20 Canadian, which, if you're following global currency, is $20 Canadian probably. You're happy that's in Canadian if you're living in most places in the world right now. An hour, of course, $20 Canadian an hour, that's my rate. And you can receive coaching from the two-time Cards World Champion. And this coaching can be for anybody. If you are trying to break into the Cards competitive scene, I did a few hours of coaching with Uwu Moy, and he went from somebody who had never made top 38 before to somebody who's now been in several top 8s. He actually just qualified to top 8 in this season. I think Uwu Moy actually might still be in the chat, so if you want to know if the coaching is good or not, you can feel free to ask Uwu Moy. Congrats again on qualifying if you are here, Uwu Moy. Or if you are just want to get better at the game, you've never even thought about tournaments, you just want to improve, you have some questions, yeah, feel free to message me on Discord if you are interested in any of that, and we can sort something out. Time to queue in and stream snipe Jking. You do that, Arizona kid. Get your cracked deck. Yeah. Yeah, Uwu Moy. The Cards top deckers, that was actually my very first coaching experience. Very thankful to Cards top deckers for actually giving me that opportunity. As a part of a giveaway on this channel, I think it was 2.5 hours of coaching. Uwu Moy won, and now he is a staple in the competitive scene. I mean, a huge part of that, do not get me wrong, a huge part of that is the fact that Uwu Moy is a very, very talented player. I mean, honestly, a lot of what I did was just give him the confidence he needed to play. It was just like, this is what I want to do, but I am unsure. And it's like, no, that is perfectly right. This is absolutely the correct play. You're spot on. And yeah, I mean, everybody's different. Some people need to understand like the theoretical concepts behind it. Some people just need a little extra push. Whatever it is to you. Yeah, I shape my coaching around each individual person. You're looking forward to paying me for more coaching with the money of OCC. Yeah, I mean, well, depending how you do next week, you very well could be in the OCC Ultimate, in which case, going to be getting a pretty decent chunk of change. Also, Oxford was working out really well in this game. Also, I'd really like to stop playing against US decks, please. Howdy, Interdiction. Fifth Rangers, Fallschirm Jäger. This is each tank in the same line, okay. So this is kind of a fine opportunity to play Lend-Lease. I think I would rather just get some more units out on board. Maybe play Lend-Lease next turn. Just because my deck is a little low on tempo. So, like, I don't know, if I play Lend-Lease and he plays like a Panther G and I don't find a Wrath, suddenly things are looking pretty bad. Yeah. Yeah, second chance only really gets one chance with this deck. DFA hitting the Hurricane. That's pretty fun. So now we're going to Lend-Lease, see what we get. Some pretty high value cards. Now, do I want to hit face for 5, or do I want to kill this? I think I want to kill this. I mean, Germany US is going to have a lot of high tempo cards, and I do not have virtually any burn. This is the only burn in my deck. So, I don't think I can really start a face race if he starts playing good cards, and if he is only playing bad cards, then I'm going to win anyways. So, might as well play it slow. That's honestly like the biggest tip for playing draft, is play it slow. Like, just try to be as grindy as possible, take almost any value trade, and just slowly work up a slight card advantage. The JU pass 3 credits, US. So it could be in the Navy. I'm going to attack with this first. If it's in the Navy, I'm going to RAF it. The reason I'm just not RAFing it immediately is I do want to get that JU just out of the way so I don't have to worry about that at all. I'll play the second Maki. Nothing happens. And we'll play a Spitfire. I'm going to get Schwalbed. I feel it coming. Jamaz, I have news. 42 seconds USA. So if people missed it earlier in the stream, I talked about Kards speedrunning. I shed light on the Kards of speedrunning community, and Bubbles took it upon himself to take away all of my records. So yeah, that's what he's talking about. Got the 442nd trade to go off, so that's gone. FW is pretty good. Honestly, we're nearing the point where I could feasibly just retreat that and go well face, depending on what he plays. Am I about to get baited by, like, drawing one card off of Typhoon? Nah, I think we just drop him to 12. If he's German-US, he should have little to no healing. I don't want to play another unit because of Stars and Stripes there. If I get Schwalbed here, I'm just gonna surrender on the spot. Not actually, but I will cry. Yeah, that's kind of a problem with my deck, is there's... And a problem with Britain and draft more widely, is there's almost no removal. And in my deck, there's literally no removal. So if he does play a Leopold, I have no answer to that. Is it Stars? Could be Stars, maybe Battery. Maybe Shore Bombardment. Is that Comet Sack? Oh, that's gotta be sad. That is not the play a happy person does. I can tell you that much. I can drop him to 7. I don't think I want to put more cards on the board. I think I just want to do this and pass. Keep the Hurricane in hand. No reason to let him know the burn I have now. Hamas means never in Spanish. Hamas. What if we had a card, like, double it and give it to the next person? So called because I once lost an OCC qual in 42 seconds. Honestly, that sounds... Oh, was I roping my opponent out? Oh no, it was still their turn, they just surrendered. Alright, 3-1. It's about 2 wins more than I was expecting to get with this deck, to be completely honest. I've seen similar in OCC top 8. Yeah, there's been some pretty blistering tournament sets. I think the fastest tournament set I've ever seen was like in the 3rd or 4th OCC, Blue Blast versus Darkness. And it was like game 1, I think, was a Jagro. Like turn 4 Jagro win. And then game 2 was Air versus Control of some sort. And the Control deck, after a full mulligan, had no cards costing less than 5. And Air won on turn 4 with like a super nutty hand. It was just the most filthy thing I've ever seen. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anybody get bricked harder in an OCC. I think like the only thing that comes close is TB's 3 Skytrains. Those are like on par. Okay, we got a Britain, which is probably better for us than US. Oh, L640. That yeah, that is true. There was the one guy who won an OCC with L640. Good old BJ. Taking any chance of revisiting Gunboat Commandos? Unfortunately, I don't think so. Without any massive changes. Yeah. Yeah, that was it. And cast buffed like a single target, and you would cast buff a hurricane, stuff like that. Okay, this guy's Suraj Gate. Alrighty. That that was a play. It certainly was a play. I mean, hey, I got knocked out of the 2020 World Championship by L640 in top 16. The guy ended up getting second, I think, actually. Fenrir. Oh, that is true. I was not talking about the yeah, the World Championship one was the funniest thing ever because Darkness was on a control deck with 3 tech cards being L640, L640, and Enigma, and then he like went first and just literally killed me with the. Well, that's bad. Not a fan of that. Um, I could try sacking both of these. Or do 1, 2. Yeah, I actually like that the most. Take this out, get rid of Oxford. And then actually just fully trade out. No reason to push the Machi. My favorite aggressive World Championship moment was when Darkness punched Bison in the face, said to get good before stomping out of the room. Yeah. Honestly, that was a pretty great moment. I mean, and it was especially weird because Darkness never played against Bison. But he just watched Bison losing to Viabator and just, yeah. Yeah, for anybody who might be confused, that is a joke. Darkness never punched anybody. Not a particularly violent person. Now, Viabator, on the other hand, you want to stay away from Viabator. Is it just gonna go for Napoli? 9-7. Oh, I didn't play around Suraj Gate. I can't believe I'm trolling. I'm trolling. Okay, hopefully he doesn't have any more. I can't believe I'm not playing around Suraj Gate again. He's rookie 31st, but I'm rookie 32nd. Okay, there's not really a way to play around it anymore. I'm like worried that he's gonna somehow clear the board. Like I'm worried that there's gonna be second Monsoon Rot, Winter Warfare, or some nonsense. Because that's really the only way I can see him. Well, not the only way I can see him winning, but certainly in a bit of a tough spot. Okay, Fraff on Napoli. What is he pointing at his own unit? Like a no surrender? Okay, let's just clear the board. And no, I'm not even gonna play Commando because like that just gives him a confusion target. King, you might be a good player or whatever, but your decks will never be as based as Gorky's or Tree Pippets. Okay, I will say Gorky's Japan Soviet deck that he won OCC with. I had the well, not the exact same deck, but I had like the exact same deck archetype, like a Japan Soviet draw through your entire deck with Kawanishi Isolation as the win con. Like a year, probably more than a year before that point. Yeah, I think I have a video from before I made after I made that deck, but my Japan Elites tier list video, I talked about when reviewing Isolation. I said Isolation's not that bad, specifically because Isolation Kawanishi on your own thing can set up a turn where you can play all your kamikazes at once. So, I will say, Gorky's decks are very based, but and I'm not trying to say like I invented it. He came up with it separately on his own. But I'm saying that I am also based. If you're calling Gorky's decks based, that I am also based. No, I'm not saying I invented it, Bubble. Although I did play a lot with Gorky. When he first started playing around with that Brit and Japan pin deck with like the AA guns and stuff. And I think he got into an OCC qualifiers. Like I think he just missed out on top 6 and got into the qualifiers. I played like 2 or 3 hours of practice games with him. I've spoken to him quite a bit. He's a very interesting, very creative deck thinker. Okay. US going first, 4-1. There is like a 90% chance we lose this game, but and he has 30 seconds. It's not great. What about Tree Pipit? Haven't seen many people play whatever he's playing. I mean, no offense to Tree Pipit, bless his heart, but what he's played is not particularly good. I will say it's very interesting, and compared to most like deck builders, what he plays is close to being playable, but like there's a reason nobody is playing the decks he is playing. And it's not because like, oh, he's a bad deck builder. It's just because he's trying to build decks that can't be good. Like, I'm not saying I could like build a much better deck of the same archetype. I'm saying that archetype is just bad. Yeah, I can keep his 32nd. I feel like I'm going to live to regret that, but it's kind of difficult to say no to an on-curve Spitfire. I feel like my win con is just probably attacking him 4 times with the Spitfire. So assuming it's in the Navy, I want to attack with this one first. And And I think I'm just gonna pass. I don't think I need to play anything. If he wants to stars, he can stars. If he wants to strat, he can strat. If he wants to gunship and play more 30 seconds, he can do that, I suppose, too. Well, we want to kind of have double Lend-Lease in hand, so hopefully we don't draw. Second chance at any point this game. Oh, any man who must say I'm based is not based at all. Kinda true. Kinda true. USA? Britain. That definitely increases our chances of winning this by quite a bit. If it was like USA Soviet, USA German, that would be a lot worse. If I went to Iceland, you guys would see an old man who never speaks a word. Yeah, don't worry about that. People were so awkward. Bubbles, you might remember this. But, like, when we first got to, Iceland for the 2021 World Championship, people were so awkward. Like, Bubbles was basically the only one who was talking. Well, okay, Ollie, Admirable, and Bubbles were, like, the only one who was talking, but, like, Spoos barely spoke a word. Myself, I didn't speak a word. I have like pretty bad social anxiety, and was not remotely confident in talking to anybody. But yeah, it was so awkward. Howdy, Solar. Welcome to the stream. You're a 17-year-old guy who isolates himself? I mean, hey, I'm like a, what, 22-year-old guy who isolates himself? Hmm. Kind of just want to retreat that. The problem is he could have carpet bombing. He has Britain ally. And if he does have carpet bombing, we're kind of screwed. I mean, yeah, the problem is now I need to... I have double Lend-Lease, just the cards in my deck are so low quality. Okay, I mean, if he keeps playing cards like that, it's gonna be fine. No, that one's very good. So that has to happen. So I will have enough credits to Lend-Lease. Not a whole lot else, though. Dude, heavy armor is cheating. I spoke to everyone other than J Queen, who I refuse to speak to no matter what. Yeah, very true. I mean, Bubbles is really just an incel, and that would offend his sensibilities to speak to a woman. There's not really a way to not get blown out by Stars and Stripes, so we are just not going to play around it and pray. I mean, 3 credits up could be Doubting System, could be Ultra. Surely he will have to test for those. I mean, honestly, even if he does have Stars and Stripes, like, it's not the end of the world. It's obviously very bad, but... Okay, I'm fine with that. If he kills his own... No, it's pinned enemy. Okay. Okay, well I have Exile Synergy in my hand for like the first time ever. So that's interesting. I, like, need to get rid of this damn Cromwell. I need to start hitting it. Now, obviously, this is giving him a second opportunity to Stars and Stripes, but if he didn't play it last turn, he probably isn't playing it this turn, unless he's, like, hard playing around AoEs. In all seriousness, I love what looks like to be a pineapple shirt dressing for the incoming summer season. Yeah, it went from really, really cold to really, really hot in, like, the snap of, like, snap of the fingers. And it's very disappointing because I very much enjoy the weather in between, where it's like 10 degrees, 15 degrees. It went from 0 degrees to like 25 instantly. And I'm not saying 25 is like really hot, but like if you've been at 0 degrees for like the last 6 months, like 0 or below for like the last 6 months, and suddenly it's 25, it feels really hot. Like 2 days ago, I was wearing my snow coat. This morning, I saw some people sunbathing on my driveway. Weather here is insane. This is the iconic Lucky Pineapple shirt, Jking lore. Yeah, this is true. You can go back to like OCCs, like definitely in 2021, probably in 2020. I was wearing this. I didn't wear this to Worlds. In 2021, but because it was kind of cold in Iceland. But did he discard anything? Interception. Honestly, is this a Lend-Lease turn? This is probably a Lend-Lease turn. Am I gonna get Doubting Systemed? No Doubting System. Gonna push up. Do you live in Toronto? The heat wave was crazy. Supposed to cool down next week, though. I don't live in Toronto. I live kind of near to Toronto. Well, like 3 hours away, but, I mean, in Canada, 3 hours away from Toronto is still, like, in the same general vicinity. You're listening to the man that still claims the hottest he's ever been was in Canada, and not... Okay. That is... Spain, on average, is hotter than Canada. I'm not arguing with that. I think this is the first time in 6 games I've drawn Livorno Regiment. Does this... Okay, so it is reduced to 1. It is not... So it is still combat damage. So this should still kill it. I know it didn't used to kill it, but how it is written, it should still kill it now. Yeah, okay, good. Could I just do like an Oxford? No, okay. So, I'm not saying Canada is hotter than Spain. I'm saying the hottest temperature, and like the hottest temperature I've ever experienced is in Canada. Because like it just objectively, if you took out a thermometer, the hottest temperature I've ever experienced was in Spain. However, humidity has to be taken into account, because like depending on the humidex, it can affect you, as if it were hotter. What countermeasures do I have to be worried about? This is quite a good thing to get off of Oxford. Do I sack the Oxford and then... No, I do not want to retreat. This is so good, dude. This is like actually the hard counter. Holy crap. So I think I'm playing another one of these. And I think I want to get the Typhoon down. Yeah, but there was one summer, well, one specific day, where with the humidity, um, it was 49 degrees with humidity, and as somebody who has experienced like high 40s degree temperature with a very arid heat, like 10% humidity, I would take that in a heartbeat over like 35 degrees feeling like 49. Because if it's like in the high 30s feels like high 40s with humidity, it just feels like you are drowning trying to breathe the air, period, no matter where you are. Whereas if it's just really hot and you go into the shade, it's relatively cool. So yeah, I will stand by that. That's not good. Um, I'm out of attack buffs, but I still just want to kill the arty. So, oh, this draws a card. The synergy. Yeah, this is also side note from my rant about temperature. This is why heavy armor is really really good in draft. Because like look at how insane these Cromwells have been for this guy this game. If this was just a 3-6 or like even a 3-8, like if you just take away the heavy armor and replace it with health, this card would be so much worse. Sevilla did not have a ton of humidity when we went there. I cannot speak to the average temperatures in Sevilla, but when we went there, it was very, very hot, not particularly humid. Please speak American temperatures from here on out. Okay, so in Fahrenheit for the Americans out there, that's 120. Yeah, but when I was in Florida, it was also really bad. And when I was in Florida, I think it was like 115. Florida was really gross. Like, particularly, Florida was gross because of the heat. I mean, Florida's also kind of gross, but uh, you know, Florida's Florida. Okay, it was 48 degrees, and I looked at the humidity, and it was 48 degrees 49 with humidity. I will take 48 49 with humidity any day over like 37 49 with humidity. Any day of my life. We might actually win this. This game was looking really rough for a long time, but we might actually win this. I have 5 cards in deck. There's about 3 bald eagle nests on. I think I'm gonna go for the hit. Wait, actually, I probably should have done the math. This is 8, 13. Yeah, not one enough matter. Why didn't this guy... Whatever. Oh, frames drop. Here we go. Okay. He needs a top deck that does something. That is a top deck that does something. That certainly is. That is a second chance, which does nothing. Getting a little nervous now. Okay, so I'm just gonna go for the hits. That... Oh, come on, dude. Okay. It's pretty good. This guy does not run Stars and Stripes. Don't even worry about it for a second. I'll just go for this hit now, so he makes this trade, or if he goes for like this trade, I can ping it off. I have one card left in my deck. Did you get the clip of you explaining the weather? I did get a clip of you explaining the weather for like 30 seconds. Looking at the game, looking at like you've forgotten your own name and why you exist. Okay, this guy's like drawn like so many shore bombardments this game. Okay, last card in my deck is a Machi. This is hitting here, unavoidable. Which means if he pushes, I think this game's just over. Unless he somehow trolls this and like attacks the Machi or attacks face, this game is over. Or maybe if the next 5 cards in his deck do absolutely nothing, I can like win on fatigue or something. Because I do have a lot of health. That is a possibility that is worth considering. How quickly can he end the game if I just go for it? So I can drop him to 5, which means... So the difference between him being at 5 and him being at 6 is the same for fatigue, because he takes 1, 2, 3. However, if I drop him to 5, I can then drop him to 3 on the following turn. So I think actually just going double face is correct, because 3 changes the fatigue math by quite a bit. Okay. Take out the Grand Guards. I mean, I think this game is lost, because this is going... The Jackson's gonna kill me really, really fast. But like, maybe. Oh, the Hellcat! Okay. Maybe he plays card draw. Maybe he just like slams Lend-Lease here. Dude, if this guy had drawn Jackson instead of Grengards into Spitfire, or like whatever this card he hasn't been playing in his hand is. It's like probably like an enemy spotted or something. Alright. That's sad. GG. 4-2. I mean, again, like 3 more wins than I was expecting to get with this deck. Dude, that was... I'm not gonna lie, that was kind of a depressing game. I kind of would have rather I just got, like, stomped by, like, a Stars and Stripes. Any of those points that I lost immediately to Stars and Stripes, rather than, like, the game being drawn out so long. I'm keeping Oxford, because it's fun, and I'm keeping 7th Alpini, because, I feel like against Japan, they all have, like, 5 high-ends. Also, I feel like Japan, out of every nation, has like the most ground units with more attack than defense. So like Oxford actually kind of becomes like a good guy. Of course, I could slam Oxford and he plays like... yeah, he could play that. This is a possibility. Scouting party. Okay. You should bring Chur France Burn to OCC. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe not. Just an idea. Slamming a 7/7 Napoli seems good. Kind of interesting he shot the Hurricane rather than the, maybe setting up like a Ryusei trade? Yeah, that's fine. Buddy. Buddy. Buddy, not like this. Wrapping a 1-drop doesn't feel like amazing, but the 0 trades with Wrath. Okay, he went for the greed. I could just try setting up lethal. Works very much in theory. Is it decisive? Yeah, decisive's fine. Does stop the potential lethal setup. A 3/3 bomber. I think you mean a 3/3. That's. Yeah. Do I just get him for 7? Just go like super aggro. This forces him to trade 0 with Napoli, which like I'm pretty fine with. See, I play like this. He replays 7th and trades with Napoli. And I've just essentially gotten a huge tempo advantage because these cards kind of suck. I could also just try killing this. 1, 5. There's no way to remove this without letting the Type 94 trade into the Spitfire. Which is something I would like to avoid. Yeah, just do this. Play like a pretty slow, chill turn. Four wins with Britain in draft, insane. True. Oh, that, wait a second. Buddy. Not again. Buddy. I mean, it is still a good play. Like, the 8/4 ambushes are insanely difficult to deal with, but it's just really funny. Dude, Kakashima's like kind of a cracked card. It's honestly like one of my favorite cards in the game. Oh, why are they so big? Yeah, like, honestly, if he hits the Kakashima into anything... Like, if he hits it into the Napoli, I think I'm fine. Maybe I should have guided Napoli. Redeployment. Okay, so he just spent 4 credits to draw a card. Trades with the 7th Alpini. Probably means he's trading with the Bomber. Or, not the Bomber, sorry, the Artie. If you hit the Fighter here, you're insane. Unless you're doing like a Dryusei? Maybe? I don't know why you would do this. I'm very confused. Okay. Just gonna draw my other Lend-Lease now. Can I push this too? Could buy me quite the tempo swing. I think I would have to sack Nara into... Or I think I have to sack Napoli into the Nara regiment anyways. Oh, Lord. Okay, that guy kind of bet the farm on that 1 and 4 right there. But, I mean, seeing that he had intel on my Lend-Lease, he kind of did have to go for a risky play like that. Unfortunately, it is not going to pay off for him. Maybe the last card in his hand is like a... to the last man or something. High-end Fiat. I can just go face. Got like this mad exile synergy. Alright, to the last man is like one of the only cards you can draw. Zeke is not it. 5 and 2. We inch ever closer. If I go 7 wins with this deck, well, I'm not going to eat a sock. I'll just tell you that up right away. I'm not going to eat a sock. I'm not about that life. But yeah. I have no idea what I'm going to do if I get 7 wins, but I will certainly be shocked, to say the least. Okay, another Britain deck. Have I hit Machi on turn 2 every single game? I mean, I do have like 4 in the deck. I suppose it's like the same odds of hitting 32nd every single game. Except actually more likely because I'm mulliganing more cards. Alright, he's going second. In general, I feel like going second in draft is better just because card advantage is worth more than tempo advantage. Specifically because the 1-drops and 2-drops are not that good. So the tempo advantage you get from going first is not particularly meaningful for a long period of time. Would I eat grasshoppers? Yes. Would I eat grasshoppers that look like grasshoppers? Probably not. Like, I don't know. I would be fine if they're like a paste made of grasshoppers. Like, I'm okay with that. But would I just like crunch into like a fried grasshopper? Probably not. Did you see the ones? Yeah, I did see that picture. I would not have had those. Let me just say that much. Livorno or Lancashire? Livorno or Lancashire? I'm gonna go for the Livorno. I feel like, just generally speaking, like this isn't gonna get attacked a whole lot. I mean, Bubbles is... He's not from Germany, but he does have... He can tell you all there is to know about the Wehrmacht. He's really into World War II documentaries. Is this attacked? Yeah, it's when it is attacked. Yeah, every time I look at the... Oh, am I about to play into Kuiper bombing? Let's see, he hits this, it goes down to 3. I think I'm playing this anyways. Carpet bombing be damned. Because if it is carpet bombing, I can just trade out the board anyways and lend-lease. Well, I won't be able to lend-lease on that turn. And I'm holding up 3 credits, so if he carpet bombs, it means he loses to Ultra Redoubting. You're British. Royal Scots. Okay, I don't think there's anything that would make Royal Scots really apply. Okay, we will trade like this. Play the Fury Hurricane. Threaten some damage. Wait, I can actually, like, not that far away from... Like, he could just Carpet Bomb it and clear a good chunk of the board, but... yeah, or you could do that. It's kind of annoying. 5, 6... I think I'd play the... Like, I think the Fury on the Hurricane is worth it. Because I am just threatening lethal now. He might have to sack the commando. Or he does that and hits the Lancashires, sure. Reasonable. That'll do it too. Order lol. I mean, the reason he did it in that order is because if he didn't hit the Lancashires, he had to trade. But that's pretty damn good. Okay, we'll just drop him to 5, so Typhoon is always threatening lethal. And Hurricane's always threatening lethal. And because I don't have a lot of burn, and by a lot of burn I mean any burn, I am going to ping the tank. Because it's a world where Commandos kills Typhoon, he kills Hurricane, and then the tank kills the Crusader. Okay. Why wouldn't you hit the Hurricane? Why wouldn't you hit the Hurricane? Why didn't he hit the Hurricane? Also, this is a very above average British 6-drop. We got him! Okay. Got a little worried there. The guy could have hit the Hurricane and done the exact same turn. He needed to kill the Typhoon, so he needed to win a 2 and 3. But he also could have... No, he couldn't. He needed to attack first. But yeah. I mean, like... Wait, actually, is it? No, it's not better, because he needs to hit both. Yeah, no, that is just dumb. Okay. Well, 6 and 2, it's a US. It's over. Back it in, guys. We had a good run. I'm gonna keep this because this is sort of the most aggressive hand that I can keep. Like the Spitfire is probably the most aggressive card in my deck, just because fighters can go face very cheap. Like this does 25% of his health for 2 credits once it's on the board. Okay, if he's running 506th, that is generally a good sign, because that card is bad. That card's pretty good. I really like the Stewart and the Zippo in draft, specifically because of Lancashire's. Like, Lancashire's the main one. There's a couple other, like, high health, cheap infantry that are just really good at crushing the support line. And, like, this is the exact situation you want, where Stewart just is threatening to trade with Lancashire's. Yeah, there's like a 0% chance this guy does not run 4 stars and stripes. I say run as if, like, he has a choice in the matter. Alright, this is it. Imagine there is some epic copyright-free music in the background, building up towards this final fight. Oh, it's a bait. It's a bait. It's always a bait. I mean, so Stewart trades with Lancashire's anyways, so I don't care about pushing Lancashire's up, and this way I trade with the Bombers. I don't think there's any cards he can use to... Oh, no, but that's it. That's the one card in the game. That is literally the single card in the game that does... that accomplishes what he wanted to accomplish there. Spitfire time, though. I guess he could air sup. I mean, if I got air supped in that situation, I'd be even more mad than the Stars and... or not the Red Dawn. Trade? Is he setting up a Stars and Stripes, or does he have like a gunship mission? Second Red Dawn. Sure. Kind of want to get the Hurricane going. Also kind of want to get the Napoli going, because I can slam down a 9-7 this turn. Which seems good. Not quite as good as Hurricane, though. I think we still have to keep playing aggressive, especially with these Red Dawns coming out. These are helping us quite a bit. Like, against a US Soviet deck, I think there's like essentially a 0% chance we win on value. I mean, maybe if he has no card draw, actually. Because we do have access to both Lend-Leases. But just like the card quality difference is going to be so high, I think I have to play aggressive. Oh, that is pretty good. It is pretty damn good. Okay. Chooses to push rather than remove Machi. I mean, actually, that's reasonable, because if he has a Stars and Stripes... Oh, that is so annoying, dude. Oh, I hate you, Machiavelli. I mean, I think I have to. And then just play a 7-7. This is when he plays Avenger. Stars and Stripes is standard. What was that fighter? I could not recognize the alt art. This is the... No, that's not. Do I have... Yeah, I have alt art Hurricane. It's the Hurricane. It's the 3-3 Fury. The alt art doesn't show up on the... oh, it does. It just turns into the other one once he takes it. Okay. Push up this. And let's just start damaging this guy. This guy's gonna need to be damaged. Thunderbolt's such a good card. If he has retreat into... oh, Lord. Again? Again? Really? This sucks. Well, 'twas a fun run. 6 and 3. I very well might play more draft in the future. This has been fun. This will be the last draft run of the night. Or afternoon. Or morning, potentially, depending on where you are, but this will be the final draft run for the day. Yeah, I mean, we're lend-leasing. There's not really a way to play around Stars and Stripes now. Fresh Recruits lands on Thunderbolt. Oh, it hurts, dude. It hurts. If there's enough request and we can convince him, he might be able to get him back in the future for more draft on stream. Yes. For a second, I was worried that... oh my god, dude. Oh. Oh, Lord. It's all over. It's all coming apart. Well, that's decidedly bad. On the plus side, he seems to not have Stars and Stripes. So that's like a thing I have going for me. I can kill this, I suppose. And welcome the incoming farm. Sure. I mean, maybe he doesn't have Stars. Maybe he doesn't have Stars. Can you show your cards after this? Elite ones. I mean... do you mean, like, gold cards? Like, I have a full collection. It's not going to be particularly different than just searching up Elite and doing show all in your own collection, but yeah, I can show off the cards. Oh! Remember when I said maybe I can outvalue him? Remember that? Back when I lived in that fantasy world? Not a whole lot else to do. I mean, like, honestly, if we hit a RAF... if we hit a RAF, we might be in business. Because, like, he's kind of... unless he starts just, like, hitting a ton of cheap cards to spam out, he's kind of reaching the... oh, no, okay. It's the third Red Dawn. And Shore Bombardment. Why? Just kill one of the arties, dude. Like, this... I don't even think this is a good play, but just why? Let it go. Be the one with the ice and snow. I don't know the lyrics of that song. Oh, this hurts. Why isn't Oxford a deployment effect? Can I get a RAF? That's pretty good. playing Baluka is better than attacking. Did you walk into an Oxford draft, Drag Tom? Yes, you absolutely did walk into an Oxford draft. This is not the game to show it off, but worked really, really well in a bunch of other games. And I will say, I don't think Firefly would have worked better. There was not really ever a situation where I would have preferred Oxford to be Firefly, necessarily. Oh my goodness. Chillax. Well, we had a good run. Jking karaoke stream when? 100,000 subscribers. I almost said 10, but I was like, I don't know, man. Maybe if mobile pops off. I don't want that on the record. Oh, there's the Stars and Stripes. Yeah. He had it. It's actually 3 off lethal. Hey, there's the against the odds. Hit him up with the Cheerio, and let's take a look at the, look at the draft rewards. You heard it here first. Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, what did we get? That's really disappointing. Not the rewards themselves. The rewards themselves are fine, just the way of displaying it. I really liked before when it was like, boom, here's what you get in your face. Now it's, I don't know, this is just, I just played like 10 games. Is that a gold daylight bombing or a normal daylight bombing? I think that's the normal daylight bombing. It's kind of hard to tell. If you can't tell, it's, I have 84 draft tickets, holy crap. If it's hard to tell, it's probably a problem. Oh, the sun is like right behind the thing. Okay, gold card, gold. Ryusei, not bad. Halfway to crate. Okay, well, that is that. I will slowly scroll through my elite cards as per request. So, while I do this, thank you very much, everybody who tuned in, whether you tuned in for 5 minutes or the whole, like, 3 hours. Thank you very much to the Cards Top Deckers team for giving me this opportunity. And, yeah, make sure to subscribe to Cards Top Deckers, the channel you are currently on. They do regular videos featuring players from around the Cards community, as well as regular guides and the occasional stream. So there is a non-stop content. Honestly, like, genuine opinion. I'm not being like paid to say this. Genuine opinion is probably my favorite content out there for Cards right now. And yeah, all around, really, really good. If you are not subscribed already, you should subscribe. And as is below me in the box right there in the green, I have a coaching services where for 20 Canadian an hour, you can get the insights of the 2-time Cards World Champion into whether you want to make it into tournaments or just improve your play, climb up ladder, hit Field Marshal for the first time, whatever it is. I specifically adapt my coaching to every individual person. So if you're interested in that, you can message me on Discord, or on any other platform you find to message me on. So, yeah. With that, thank you very much. And this page of elites is very, very long, so I'm going to start speeding it up. Here, you can take screenshots. said Canadian, not Canadian dollars. Let's pay with Canadian geese. Yes. As any true Canadian, I will also accept payment in the forms of Tim Hortons gift cards, or beavers. Golden cards have extra thin stripe. That is also true, yeah. I mean, it's difficult to tell on orders. Like, it's a lot easier to tell on a gold elite, or not a gold elite, sorry, a gold unit. Because if you look at the unit cards, they do have the second banner, like the second line around it, that like the regular ones don't. But if you look at a gold order, they only have this one at the bottom. So another example of that, yeah, they only have it at the bottom. But yeah, that was fun. Thank you everybody for hanging in. Yeah, anytime, Red Sun. Was really fun. Oh, and of course, if anybody wants to subscribe to my own YouTube channel, can right there, typed in chat through my own channel. It's also in the description of the stream. Yeah. So with that, I will actually end the